Well, hey, good morning to you. We are in the wilderness. This is the Niagara River, the stretch between Lake Niagara and the Lake of the Ozarks. Actually, this is kind of where the Lake of the Ozarks starts. It's still water moving here on out and running water going up that way. Beautiful, beautiful spot. We're out here in the middle of the wilderness. Nobody's around us. I took a giant hike through the woods just to get to this spot. Occasionally I see a fisherman roll through here, but I haven't today. Right now we are isolated out here, and it's very, very appropriate. This is the place that I came to film this specifically, because this is the moment in time that we're going through the book of Matthew verse by verse, where Jesus is being tempted. He's being led off into the wilderness by the Holy Spirit, by all things. The Spirit is leading him to this thing. And when we were going through Jesus's baptism, we were in Portugal, and now we're back in Missouri and we're in the wilderness, and the timing is perfect for God. And so we're just going to kind of pick it up where we left off. Again, this is the moment that Jesus has just been baptized, and immediately the Spirit leads him into the wilderness. We'll pick it up in Matthew 4:1. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. Now we're going to take this episode and we're going to talk specifically about who is the devil. Who is it that's Jesus is about to be tempted by specifically? And I know we all know who he is, but who is he really? Because there's a lot of unknowns about this particular subject. And people make a lot of speculations, who they think he is some red guy with horns. This is not the case. This is a creation of God who was above all the angels. He was above them all, and he had fallen. And along with him was a third of the angels, and there was no place for them. So God put them here. This is their place. And from the very beginning, he has tried to rule this world as if he is God. And we've seen that time and time again throughout the history of the world. We're seeing it today still. And it's very important we understand, well, who is it that's actually leading Jesus out to be tempted before we understand what these temptations are. So we're going to kind of jump around a little bit. We're going to start in Genesis 3. This is where Satan, the serpent of old, tempts Eve and Adam. And then after that, God says this in Genesis 3:14. So the Lord said to the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed more than all the cattle and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you shall go, and you shall eat dust all the days of your life. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. So that prophecy is ultimately saying there's going to be a day where Christ is going to destroy you, and now we're at that day, and that's the point of this temptation. Is it's an effort to stop this thing from happening, but it's a bigger thing, like understanding what is the big picture. What is it the devil is trying to stop Jesus from doing, or from the seed of the woman? Like, because it's been a battle from that moment on. It has been a battle to prevent this thing from happening. So Revelation 12 has a really interesting aspect of kind of all of this in one, like it's kind of the history of the world in one chapter, really in just a few verses. So we're going to go there, and it's going to kind of really show the history of the devil as he has been doing this thing to try to stop what Jesus is about to walk into. So we're going to go to Revelation 12. And of course, we've gone through the book of Revelation verse by verse. We are again. I'll put the link below. I don't want to get too deep into this, like cross-reference and how we know these symbols are what they are. I'm just going to say that we've done that already in another episode. Check it out. Again, the link's below. But I'm just going to explain it as we go. Revelation 12, starting verse 1. Now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and her head a garland of 12 stars. This is Israel. And being with child, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. And that's Jesus. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems on his heads. Now, this is the devil, but it's also the dragon is that serpent of old. We'll go, it says that just a few verses later. His tail drew 1/3 of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. That's the fallen angels, 1/3 of them. And the dragon stood before the woman, so that Satan and all these demons stood before Israel, who was ready to give birth to Jesus, to devour the child as soon as it was born. So there's always been this effort, and that's why it's so incredibly important you go through the book of Matthew verse by verse, because the first chapter, we can see this play out time and time and time and time and time again as you go through the genealogy of Jesus. It took us over a year to get through the genealogy of Jesus. But time and time again, you see the devil trying to devour this child. It's the seed of the woman leading to Jesus Christ. She bore a male child who was to rule nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to God and to his throne. So what we have is we really have this effort, this effort to stop this thing from happening. And as humans in the world, we're kind of victims of it, to be quite honest. We're standing here trying to do our life, and there's this war that's been going on since the beginning of this world, and it continues to rage, and we're all just standing in the middle of it, because as we will continue, and that's not the point of this video, but as we continue in Revelation and in chapter 12, it keeps going on into the end times to Christ's second return. This serpent, this devil, the 1/3 of the angels trying to stop and destroy that thing from happening. And that's what we're living in now, which is, again, why it's so incredibly important to go through the book of Matthew. But something that we see also is understanding, well, who is on which side? Because there's a lot of people who claim righteousness right now who are bowing down to the devil, whether it be through political means, through financial means, through power struggles, through adultery, through whatever that may be. They're still bowing down to him. And what's the difference? Well, we can see in John 3, starting verse 7, it says, "Little children, let no one deceive you. He who practices righteousness is righteous, just as he is righteous. He who sins is of the devil. For the devil has sinned from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of God was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil. Whoever has been born of God does not sin, for his seed remains in him, and he cannot sin because he has been born of God." So, in other words, it's an effort to devour. Like, we are of God. We are of God. You have to know that. You were born of God. God knew every hair on your head when you were in your mother's womb. We are of God. But sin takes us and makes us sons of the devil. And that's why it's so incredibly important to resist sin and temptation. This is why it's so incredibly important to understand what it is Jesus came to do, to pay that debt, to free us of our sin, because otherwise, way back when I was a teenager, bam, I'm gone. I can't access heaven. There's nothing I can do about that on my own. James 4:7 says, "Therefore submit to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you." And this is what we're about to see Jesus do. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. Lament and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to gloom. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up. This has been a war going on, and we are all part of this war. We're either sons of the devil or we are sons of God. There is no in between. And this is something that the church has failed to show us. They have failed to show us this. John 8:43, "Why do you not understand my speech? Because you are not able to listen to my word. You are of your father, the devil, and the desires of your father you want to do. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources, for he is a liar and the father of it." being the father of lies means that every lie that is in the world came from the devil. So when you went out and you lied about this or you lied about that, that literally came from the father of lies. And what's about to happen is he is about to go and tempt Jesus in the same way that Adam and Eve were tempted, in a very similar way you and I have been tempted. And it is just a piece of what Jesus has to do in order to begin his ministry. And we're going to get into that. But understanding who is doing this, he is the murderer. He is the father of lies. He is seeking to kill and destroy, is his only objective. It's his only objective. And he is clearly ruling this world right now. The only place to escape such things is the wilderness. And as we're going to see here in a little bit, what Jesus does to resist the temptation of the devil is leans on his understanding of his Father's words. We're going to go back to Matthew 3, starting verse 13. Then Jesus came from Galilee to John at the Jordan to be baptized by him. And John tried to prevent him, saying, I have need to be baptized by you. And are you coming to me? But Jesus answered and said to him, Permit it to be so, for thus it is fitting for us to fulfill all righteousness. Then he allowed him. Then Jesus, when he had been baptized, came up immediately from the water, and behold, the heavens were opened to him. And he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting upon him. And suddenly a voice came from heaven, saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to wake up to the reality of the spiritual war around us. It's here. It's on you. It's on your family. It's in this world. Well, how do we resist it? Well, we're going to see in the next several episodes, because we need help. We need help. We need God's word. We need his Spirit, and we need his angels to intercede on our behalf. These are things that we're going to see. How do we get these things? It's important you understand who you're up against. You're not up against somebody who is trying to kill you. You're up against the devil. If somebody is destroying your home, you're not up against them. You're up against the devil. If somebody's trying to light your car on fire, you're not up against them. You're up against the devil. It's very, very important you understand who exactly you are fighting against.